I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree with this, but one of the biggest things I miss from manga collecting years back was the great deals you could find out in the wild. You know, in recent years, it feels like some of these used stores like Half Price Books and Book Off don't always have as good a stuff as they used to, and especially not for as good a prices sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, I am making this video to tell you that the deals are still out there because this past week, I went absolutely bananas at my Half Price Books and used bookstores, found some amazing manga deals. So in today's video, we are doing a manga haul that is completely made up of manga I got for half off cover price or less. So we got some great stuff I cannot wait to show off to you guys today in this video. So hopefully you enjoy. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. And leave a comment down below telling me what is the best manga deal you've ever got, the least amount you've paid for something that was totally awesome. With all that being said, without any further ado, I say we get right into my half off or less manga haul. Alright, so first off here, I have 4 manga volumes that I bought with the intention to resell. Now, I make this no secret, sometimes I buy rare manga when I find it for a cheap price to turn that profit into new manga I actually want to read in my collection. So we have 4 volumes here that fall into that category. The first 2 are volumes of the Ace Attorney manga. Here we have volumes 1 and 2 of this honestly pretty rare series from Del Rey. Next manga book I bought to sell is a shoujo book, which you guys know my track record with reselling shoujo manga doesn't always go too well, but hopefully the clam community won't get too mad at me for buying this volume of Tokyo Babylon. This is Omnibus 2. Now I believe a new edition of Tokyo Babylon came out, so these omnibuses aren't quite as desirable, but these editions to this day surprisingly do command a decent price tag. I got this not at Half Price Books, but at one of my used hobby shops. Got this for $10, so a very good deal. And the last volume I bought to flip is a manga volume that I never see out in the wild, and it's a decently rare one as well. That is What a Wonderful World. This is volume 2 from Inio Asano. You guys know, one of the most legendary contemporary manga creators. I do own both these volumes in my personal collection. I've read them years ago and I really enjoyed this. This second volume, I had no idea had a decent value on the aftermarket. I was aware that years ago, the first volume was going for crazy prices. Seems those have come down a little bit. Still a pretty expensive volume, but for less than $10, you know, had to scoop this one as well. Alright, so now we're moving on to the manga that I actually bought to keep in my collection. I found some crazy things that I'm super interested in at my Half Price Books a couple days ago, so go through everything I got at HPB right now. The first volume I got at Half Price Books is volume 1 of Witch Hat Atelier. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. French can be weird sometimes for an English speaker, but yes, this is such a highly acclaimed manga that I have actually never tried. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is like in the top 100 on my anime list, and I have not read a single chapter. And honestly, I know nothing about this, but I was flipping through the artwork. It looks really, really good and super cute as well. And I've heard that's one of the strong points of this manga. I know that a lot of you guys have read this manga, so let me know, out of 10, how would you rate Witch Hat Atelier? And do you think I will enjoy it based off of what manga I usually like? The next manga volume I got is from one of the greatest manga creators of all time that I just never got around to picking up and reading. That is Mujirushi, The Sign of Dreams, from the one and only Naoki Urasawa. Now, this is one of his more recent manga. Obviously, you guys know Urasawa, the author of 20th Century Boys, Pluto, and of course, Monster, his most highly acclaimed manga. And as for his newer stuff, I know he has like Sneeze and this one as well, which I've heard some mixed things about, but with this one in particular, I've heard a lot more people say this one is worth picking up. And obviously when it comes to Naoki Urasawa, you know the artwork is going to look great. He has this very distinct signature style that looks almost like classic vintage comics. I really like about that. As for the story, I'm not sure. I'm going in with low expectations, so I'm not disappointed just off base things I've heard, but I'm still looking for a decent read with this one. Again, if you've given this one a try, let me know what you thought. Next up here, we have a book that I'm really hoping YouTube doesn't demonetize this video from me showing, but that is Shigeru Mizuki's Hitler. Now, obviously, it's a manga about World War II and Hitler. And I know that this figure and the Nazi regime obviously are very controversial subjects. They're not going to be for every reader, but personally, I'm a big fan of historical fiction in manga, especially things like, you know, Message to Adolf from Osamu Tezuka, one of my favorite manga series of all time, talking about this dude. And one of the things I really like about Message to Adolf is that it kind of makes him out to be, obviously though he's a terrible person, the manga really makes fun of him, makes him like a caricature, a goofy idiot. And as I can kind of looking through this manga, it looks like it might be doing the same thing, making Hitler just out to be an oaf. So that is very much appreciated, and it kind of makes this dark subject matter that I'm sure this manga will get into a little bit more lighthearted and digestible. I also got to show off real quick these really nice looking color pages. I'm not familiar with this artist, but based off these pages, this looks like it's going to be something real special. And I've heard some great reviews for this book, so I'm definitely excited to get into some more historical fiction. Now next up here we have a manga that's not historical fiction, but it's definitely important in the history of fiction, particularly manga. See what I did there? Here we have actually a pretty rare find. This is the Gwyn Saga. This is, if you guys aren't familiar, a novel series from, I believe, back in the 70s and 80s. And the reason that this is so important is that it actually was cited as a major influence by Kentaro Miura when he was making Berserk. As you can see, we have our main character, Gwyn, who kind of looks like King from Tekken. I'm sure also inspired that character, but this is like a dark fantasy type of series, obviously more known for the novels and the anime, but I found out this does have a manga with 3 volumes, and this first one is actually pretty hard to come by. Now with that being said, I do plan on giving this one a read. I'll pick up the second 2 volumes if I enjoy it, but I don't have super high expectations for this. I'm assuming it's going to be more fun than like high quality writing and narrative, but I'm always open to be surprised, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this one's all about. Next up here we have The Ice Wanderer and Other Stories by Jiro Taniguchi. Taniguchi, if you guys are not familiar, is a manga artist with a very strong cult following, similar to someone like Taiyo Matsumoto, not quite cracking into the big mainstream, but has a super fleshed out catalog of great stuff and a rabid fan base willing to buy it. I believe the only other thing I've read from Jiro Taniguchi, I could be forgetting something, but it's Summit of the Gods, his manga about mountain climbing. It is based off the cover and the title here. I'm assuming most, if not all of this, takes place in the mountains and or the wilderness, so I'm really excited for that. And honestly, if I enjoy this, I'll probably try to pick up more of his work because there's quite a bit out in English that I have not read that I hear is fantastic. Next up here is one of the only Gekiga manga I have in my entire collection. That is Fallen Words by Yoshihiro Tatsumi. I know absolutely nothing about this, but it was for half price plus 20% off with Half Price Books, a big sale they do on Labor Day weekend. So I decided to give this a try. I've been reading Blade of the Immortal. I'm in the headspace of priests and samurai. It seems like that's kind of the vibe that this is going for, so I'm excited to see what this one's all about. I've seen some great reviews online. And the last narrative manga volume I got from Half Price Books is volume 2 of Dementia 21. This is a very weird psychedelic manga, as you can probably tell by Kago, and I do own the first volume here. I'll pull it up and show you the artwork on this. Really cool. But yeah, this guy has some crazy stuff, and I've read a couple chapters from this first volume, and I need to get back to this because I did enjoy it, just kind of got sidetracked, but now I have both volumes in my collection. These volumes look so sick, and Dimension 21 is one of this author's most popular things, so I'm assuming it's going to be a crazy ride all the way through. Now I said that was the last narrative manga volume I got because I got 2 manga art books from Half Price Books. Don't always see those there, but I always pick them up when I see them. First we have Femme Fatale from Shuzo Oshimi. This is artwork from, I believe, all of the manga he has ever made. A lot of color stuff in here. I'll show you some footage of it now. As you can see, we have some artwork from some of my favorite series from him, like Flowers of Evil, Blood on the Tracks, Inside Mari, as well as some other series I had never even heard of. And the second art book is for a manga that I have never even read, but the artwork looks really cool, so I got it. It's D Gray Man, a shonen series that a lot of people say is super underrated, and just flipping through this art, definitely plus it has going for it. Again, I've never read this manga. I don't know any of these characters, but I do have a few art books in my collection for series or creators that I'm not familiar with, just because I like looking at the artwork. They're good artists, so having these large-scale, blown-up, colorful art books is really cool to have. Now, moving away from Half Price Books, we do have one manga volume that I got from my other U-store for half price. That is Hikari Man. Now, I'd seen some people post about this on Twitter, saying he was kind of like Gantz, and that's all you really got to say for me to get interested. This manga is basically about this nerdy kid who loves fighting games, and he has this weird hypersensitivity to electricity. To make a long story short, he kind of gets like electroshocked and becomes able to go into his fighting game and like zoom around all over the real world, beam people up as like this electromagnetic superhero. I did read this first omnibus, which is the first 2 volumes of this series. I believe this is a somewhat recent release, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll keep picking up these volumes as they come out, maybe just sticking to reading online, but it's definitely very promising, especially how this left off. And overall, it's a pretty quick, light sci-fi manga that does remind me in certain aspects of something like Gantz or Jagan, so if you're a fan of those series, I would say give this one a try. You probably can't go wrong. And the last manga pickup for this video I actually got from Facebook Marketplace for less than half price, which is very rare to find good manga deals for good series on Facebook, but here we have a really good series. That is Land of the Lustrous, volumes 1 through 10. Now, when I messaged about this listing, it was this girl who was selling a lot of her manga collection. She said this was one of her favorite manga, and this is actually one that I have read, I believe, through volume 10 of, and that was up to date at that point in time, and I just never got around to reading it. So I sold my set, and I'm finally buying it back so I can finish this manga that I really did enjoy. I believe that there are 13 volumes total, and I think they're all out in English, so the full set should be complete. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but this manga has such an interesting world, super unique art style as well. One of the best main characters with Foss, has some great character development. Again, one of the best examples I can even think of. Now, when I was going over to buy the listing, I was expecting to get volumes 1 through 9 for $45, which is a great deal. And when I got there, she said, actually found volume 10, so I just threw it in, which was awesome. So we got these all for $4.50 a piece. An amazing deal. Probably will never find a better deal than that. And I'm so looking forward to rereading this one and finally completing one of the most unique modern manga series I can ever remember reading. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing all of this amazing manga I got for half price or less. Just goes to show the deals are still out there, though maybe not as frequent as they were 5 years ago. If you keep at it, you're sure to find some great deals just like I did in today's video. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So yeah, this has been ThePromG. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And as always, hope to catch you in the next one.